Okay, our next guest speaker is Chris Johnson, who's the CFO for Redarc.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I guess gold nuggets have come so far. Hopefully I can add to those. So the story of Redarc, I'll be very brief with this, but I think it sets, I guess, the foundation or the DNA of our culture and the ability to sort of manage that going forward. The business was started, like a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses in South Australia, by an engineer tinkering in a tin shed. The engineer built the business up to a stage essentially where didn't have the skill set, knew wasn't right, I guess, to take it forward. In came an ambitious young man called Anthony Kittle. That was around 1997, so some 21 years ago now. Anthony mortgaged the house, put it all on the line. Obviously Anthony and his wife Michelle and the young family. Put it all on the line and obviously had this massive ambition to take the business forward. And I think that embracing change, ambition, taking risks, they're the sort of the core elements of what Redarc is. Fast forward, as I said, 21 years, the business has grown. So if we look at the last 5 years, it's tripled turnover. Headcount's gone up to 200, which is putting on 100 people in about 4.5 years. That without a HR department has been fun. And that's, I guess, the management team trying to bring those people on. I guess my learnings from that is, if we're going to act as a benchmark global business, which we hold ourselves out to be, and that's our target, the one thing you can't compromise on is the way you recruit and bring people into your business and the way you induct them. That has to be sort of gold standard. And I guess the way we do that at Redarc is having people come in, a minimum of 3 interviews. And over that period, what you'll meet is not just your technical people in your team, you'll also meet people from every other division. And it culminates in an interview with Anthony, the owner. Now, I don't know how long you can continue to do that. Getting 200 plus people, obviously he's a busy man, but that's where it's been so far. And I guess the really clear point for me, and it was strange for me coming into a business, any one of those 8 people that interviewed as part of the panel on the 3 interviews says, yeah, I don't think the fit's here. I don't think it feels right. The candidate doesn't come into Redarc unless there's a good reason and we probe more, and it could go out to 5 or 6 interviews. So having that, I guess, that gate at the start is really important to us. And then we flow into the induction process. So I started in the CFO role. I thought, okay, great. I want to see the beans. I want to get the feet under the desk and see how we're looking. I didn't get to do that for 3 weeks. I was out on the factory line, in the stores, in with the marketing guys, out on the road, and that is what we do. So people don't go straight into their role at Redarc. They go into meet other people. And there's 2 reasons we do it. One, because they learn the business, and it's basically a turbocharged way of doing it. You don't go straight into your team and put your blinkers on, despite best efforts to meet people around a coffee machine. You learn their stories, you get to know their family history. When you walk past them, months later, you've got that connection. And I think it starts, right there in the early days. The second point around that, it is definitely taking the value that customers king. So a lot like that mold. It's not about you coming in and doing your specific role. It's about the purpose. And now I might flow into, I guess, another key part that everyone's talking about, which is that vision. So every time we have a company presentation, there's a slide that comes up. It's from Bob Beaumont, industry leader here in South Australia, and it goes, don't dream big, dream huge. Redarc's lived that. Every time we sort of think we've got to a crescendo or a significant milestone, yeah, we do celebrate, we smell the roses, we do the tap on the back, but then we go again. I remember in 2014, we were lucky enough to win Australian Telstra Business of the Year. I thought, this is going to be good, nice cruisy week next week, and everyone will be really, up and about. Well, Anthony got everyone together on the Tuesday, after we'd celebrated on the Friday, and we set our target for 2020, and that's what we're out there delivering currently. So I think having that aspirational goal is just so important. And then the thing that we're working on now is, how does that tie back to everybody else? How do we make sure, because performance development plans, some people love them, some people hate them. But what we've got to make sure is it's not a painful process for them to go through. They're there to essentially, help the business get to where the business wants to be, but where they want to be as well. So I think they're sort of 2 sort of takeouts that I'd have from my time at Redarc that have been different to any other employer I've been at. The third one would be, and it only dawned on me when I was sort of over afternoon tea there, was about networking. So we've all talked about our businesses and culture within our businesses. Culture within the South Australian SME network is big for Red Arc as well. So last night I was at a function and we were talking to a couple of IT chaps from a local business, and we were talking about, okay, well, can you guys come down and meet our IT guys, form a bit of a network, because I think there's value to be had there as well. And I think, in the SA, we're small enough that can be an advantage for us, the ability to network, and obviously Industry Leaders Fund is what that's all about. So I think that was about 3. Jeff and Carolyn hasn't moved around to the back of the room, so I'm obviously okay for time. That's fine.
Thank you, Chris. And one of the things that I found really interesting about that is that unashamed, this is how we recruit, If it's going to take 5 for us to be sure, we're going to do it. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Well done.